no one's going to tell you, hey, hire a public adjuster. Hey, you need a. Why would an insurance company say you want to hire a public adjuster? Right? They're not going to tell you that. It's gonna cost them more money.
Hello, and welcome to Mornings with Joel, commercial real estate podcast, where we focus on rising stars and established players in commercial real estate and talk to them about how they are building legacies in today's marketplace.
The Mornings with Joel CRE podcast is sponsored by ImpactMask.com. That's M as in Mary, ImpactMask.com. The world's most breathable mask that has 99% efficacy, which is higher than an N95 mask, and it won't fog your glasses. Check out the science behind these incredible masks at ImpactMask.com.
I'd like to welcome all to the Mornings with Joel CRE podcast. We are very excited today to have a special guest with us, Andy Gurczak. And am I pronouncing that right, Andy?
Joe, you're probably as close as anyone ever gets on their first try.
Okay.
That sounds great. I'm not even going to listen. It sounds perfect.
All right. So we'll go with that. All right. Well, I appreciate that. And Andy, obviously we've been having some crazy weather here lately. Where are you guys based out of, by the way?
Yeah, our headquarters, our main office is in Crown Point, Indiana. And then we have offices throughout other states. So we're licensed in over 32, 33 states now, if not more. And then we have 6 other locations.
Okay. All right. Great. So it's been getting a little hot up there in Indiana too, I'm sure.
Pretty much everywhere. Michigan City got a big storm. Orland Park, like Orland Homer here in Illinois, got a storm. Iowa. I mean, every Midwest. You go state by state, and there's something that's happened. So
yeah, it's been crazy, but hopefully we'll get through it. So all good stuff. Well, hey, to our audience today, again, we wanted to interview Andy Gurczak. And Andy, you know what? If just to kind of give a 5-second pitch. What is All City Adjusting? Because that's the company that you're the founder and CEO of.
Yeah. Well, licensed private adjusting company. We advocate for the insured. We only represent the insured against their insurance company. Basically, act as their advocate on their own insurance claim.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you're not an insurance company in the typical sense of insurance, writing insurance policies, but what you are is on the adjusting side. And we'll get into that a little bit later because I think that's very, very interesting and very important. And there's some insights that may not be, that most of our listeners might not be aware of as well as it relates to getting these claims taken care of. So Andy, give us a little bit about your background. It sounds like this is almost like a niche market that you're in because you represent people that have filed claims and may not be getting what they should be getting as a result of a claim. So what is your background? How'd you even get into this line of work?
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I was in construction. I met an adjuster that was already doing this for over 40 years, who taught me, who had then ended up taking me under his wing. He mentored me, and then I ended up incorporating, starting All City Adjusting, growing it to multi-states, to go into as many states as we can, growing the company as we have now. And right now we're specializing in large loss fires, catastrophe tornadoes, hurricanes, large water losses. That's kind of our specialty.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, it sounds like you would be extremely busy right now with all of the activity that's going on, especially in the Midwest. Is that safe to say?
There's never a dull day. So summer, fall, spring, kind of busy on the hurricanes, storm season, and then the winters are majority fires, fire and water claims. So it's an all year event. There's always something going on. And it is a niche market. Not many people know about what we do. Mm-hmm. Most people don't ever file a claim. Once they do, they don't even know that there's someone there that can actually represent them and help them through the claim process.
Gotcha. So, and I understand that this is not, just something brand new. You and your mentors have actually been doing this for quite some time. Is that correct?
Public adjusting has been around for hundreds of years. It's not a new thing. Mm-hmm. Again, people just don't know. Maybe more in the East and West Coast, it's more familiar because people actually have storms all the time. There's disasters, so they're more familiarized. Whereas in the Midwest and some other states where they don't have claims or hurricanes or stuff happen that often, people aren't aware. So our whole marketing and teaching people is basically not only writing blogs and educating people what to do after a claim, but it's going on shows like yours, Joel, and explaining, hey, when you have a claim, there's someone that can actually help you get your claim paid not only quickly, fairly, just maximize it, but you're making sure everything gets handled the proper way.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that makes sense. So let me ask this. Let's say I have a situation, for an example, I own assets in Louisiana, right? So you obviously have flood issues and things like that down there, hurricanes and other things. So I have a situation. Why do I need to call you as opposed to just calling my insurance company and getting them to take care of it? I've been in business for a while. I should be able to handle myself.
Yeah.
Why would I need a company like yours?
Yeah. I'm guessing you don't handle your own taxes. When you have some legal problems, you don't handle them yourself. You hire an attorney. Right. And then on the other side, the insurance company, who is the agent working for? Who's paying the agent's bill?
Yeah, the
Insurance company. Right? Who's paying the adjuster's bill that's coming out to your house? Who's paying the vendor's bills? Insurance company. Everyone's getting paid by the insurance company. So who do you think they're looking out for? Like they're in the business to underpay claims. There's been books written about it. There's a famous book called From Good Hands to Boxing Gloves that an attorney wrote that exposed the entire Allstate's system of how they pay claims. Mm-hmm. So again, it's their business model, nothing wrong with it. But if they can underpay claims and you as a homeowner or as an investor, and even if you've done this for 20, 30 years, when you're looking at something like, okay, they pay me $20,000, looks good. I could get this done for 18 or 20. This looks good. But if we come in and say, no, there's $60,000 worth of damage, just because you have a retail guy that could get it done for 20, this is what they actually owe you. So, unless you're actually in the industry and know claims and know estimating and know the policy, how will you know? This takes years. After learning 3-4 years that I spent with my mentor that taught me 40 years of industry knowledge. Mm-hmm. Every day is something new. There's never been something that we look at that say, okay, we've had this situation before. Each claim is handled on its own merit, and it's a different situation each time. And we do this every day, 24/7. So for someone that doesn't handle, good luck, because right now you can say the wrong thing when you're filing a claim, and you can be denied. So.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very powerful point. I think about a property that I owned in Roswell, Georgia at one point, and I don't remember what the claim was. This was years ago, but there was some issue, and we filed the insurance claim, and obviously the first response is always, no, we're not going to pay it. Or no, we don't feel that this reaches the level of insurability, from that standpoint, or claimability, if that's a word. So, what you bring up is actually a very good point. Most people say, well, I can hire a lawyer to represent me in a car accident, but even the lawyer that you hire makes a difference, right? Because some people will look to just get a simple settlement and move on, or having somebody that's more like a bulldog with boxing gloves, to use that example of that book, can mean a big difference in the amount of money that you get. I was talking about how the insurance company felt that my claim, or my request for claim, wasn't reaching the standard of claimability, to use that word, where they felt that, it just wasn't there. So they just denied it. It was like deny, just because it was kind of a practice that's what they would do, until you push back. So, I guess you find that in your industry as well, where they just want to deny things without giving much credence to what actually needs to be done.
Yeah. And then no one's going to tell you, hey, hire a public adjuster. Hey, why would an insurance company say you want to hire a public adjuster? Right? Yeah. They're not going to tell you that. That's going to cost them more money. Yeah. The one thing we hear from adjusters all the time is, oh, why did they hire you? They don't need you. I'm good. I'm going to take care of this. No problem. Hey, let's see your estimate. Let's get this out. We'll see how, and then the claims are, 3 times higher. Right. So, you can look at it different ways. When we present the claim, Joe, let's say we talk, and I would ask, well, what's your end goal? Because if your end goal is you have your own contents, you're an investor, then we're a perfect match. Because we're going to fight, and it might take 3-4 months, but you might be collecting rents because there's coverage for that, while we maximize your claim. You're not in a hurry. You're going to get that loss of rent anyways. You can have time to fight the claim, get everything maximized, get your own bids, then get it done, for your costs. Whereas if you'd say, hey, Andy, well, I have a family of 3. My kids start school in 2 weeks. I'm in a hurry. Then we might not be a fit because it might take 2 months.
Yeah.
And you can't touch anything. So knowing the situation, again, there's some situations, and it's a family maybe, that, even if we could maximize, we would maximize their claim and help them out in a great way. we might not be a best fit because they just want to get back. They don't care what happens. Sometimes the worst part is they'll hire a restoration company just because they want to get back in, and then 3 months later they're moving back in, but they're paying $10,000 more out of pocket for all these extras they didn't know. They thought the insurance was going to handle it. So, but again, different client, different scenario. So
Yeah. I guess one thing that is really quite interesting as well is, and I wonder how many people realize that there's different levels of what you can actually get through a claim. So let's say, for an example, you have a car accident and the insurance company says, all right, we'll pay, $5,000 or $10,000 for this particular claim. But if you hire an attorney, that a claim might go up to $20,000, $30,000. And so in the adjusting world, you're basically telling me that it's the exact same thing. You can call the insurance company, they're going to give you an offer. You may not realize it's a lowball offer, but if someone brings you in, you might be able to take that to 4 times what it was when they initially made their offer to you.
100%. It's. I don't remember one claim we looked at that we didn't bring more value to. That we didn't. There's claims where we couldn't get settled without an attorney, but there's never been a claim where we looked at where we couldn't get more than the insurance company. There's always something missing. You have to remember, you're talking about an industry now that's pushing out the staff adjusters, all the guys that have been in it or gals that have been in it for years, bringing in very young, inexperienced people, and just saying, here's a computer, go estimate, here's the guidelines, don't pay for this, don't pay for this, don't do this. And if they bark, well, then we'll deal with it then.
Yeah. It's quite interesting that and you hate to say it, but as you mentioned, or you referenced in a prior conversation kind of offline, the insurance company is not your friend, from that standpoint. They're there to technically represent you and pay you, but even in accidents or any other thing that might come along, you have to actually sue your own insurance company to get the actually money that you deserve out of it. And in your case, you represent us going against our own insurance company as well when there's a claim to be made. So
correct. Yeah. And again, just because it's your own insurance company and you're paying premiums for it, doesn't mean they're looking out for you. They're a business. They're in a business to make money as well. They're not a charity. They're not just going to give away money. Yeah. They want to collect as much as premiums, get their money. And when it comes to paying clouds, they want to look at limiting how to pay, pay as little as possible. It's just a business model, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. But understanding it, I think, is very important, that you can actually maximize those claims by hiring a company like yours. I think that's very important. So
most 90%, if not 99% of their adjusters or even their agents don't know their own policies. They have no clue what they're selling. They have no clue what's in the policy. We get all the time where, well, it's not, we don't cover this. Well, where's in the policy? Like, where does it show that you guys don't pay for this? Well, I just know that we don't. I've never paid for it before. Just because you haven't paid for it before doesn't mean you don't owe it this time. There's just a scenarios. There's just numerous scenarios like that.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. I know, for an example, and maybe you can speak to this, or if it's outside of your scope, then that's fine as well. But I know in certain cases you'll have policies written up where if there's a hurricane, for an example, they'll pay for wind damage, but they won't pay for water damage, which might be caused, in the house. And what hurricane doesn't have water, right? Doesn't have anything. So, I mean, how does that actually work in a situation like that where you have a scenario like that?
Yeah, so surface water. So that whole came from the hurricanes where, you have the hurricane. Is it flood? Because now if technically the water came in, they want to push that back on flood insurance, right? Mm-hmm. And then they want to be responsible for anything that's 4 feet up or whatever the is. But that's normal. Going forward, these policies are becoming more of, unless your house is totally gone by a fire, like burnt down to the ground, everything else is like, well, if this happens, we won't pay for this. And if this happens, we only pay for this and not this, right? Sure. Like roofs right now have a lot of exclusions. We pay for your roof, but it's 10 years or older, we only pay for this much. And we don't pay for the metals. It's like, fuck, then why do I even have insurance at this point? Like a lot of people we've talked to, a lot of big investors have self-insured themselves because it doesn't make sense to actually go to an insurance company.
Yeah. Very interesting. So in a situation like that, I guess it's a matter of having multiple policies that cover both things, because if the policy doesn't indicate it, then really it limits your hands as to what you can argue, I would think.
Correct. So we can only argue what's in the policy.
Right.
If you have a policy that states we only pay for fire and you had a hurricane, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
So interpreting the policies and understanding the policy is the biggest thing. So a lot of like our services that we provide and how we've grown our business is with investors, real estate investors, owners, landlords, management companies, and literally interpreting policies for them. So when they get a policy in place, we'll read through it. They'll send it to us. We'll look at the property. We don't charge for that, but just kind of to build a relationship and to see if there's anything missing. Hey, Joel, understand that if you do have something happen, you're not covered for this. And then you have a deductible of this if this happens.
Right.
So that way, at least you understand, because no one ever explains that to people. No one actually understands the full policy, because you don't usually even get a full policy. Most people only get the deck page, the declaration page, which is like 5 pages long,
Right.
where it's got all the endorsement exclusions, but no one actually sees what those mean. We actually dig through all those and then tell you, hey, all this happens if this and this doesn't happen, and go through it. The first thing we do when we get a loss, if you just called me today, Joel, and said, hey, we had a fire, the first thing we would ask is for, where's your policy? We need a copy of the policy, at least the deck page, so we could see what endorsements you have. Not because again, we want to know, like, do you have everything in place for us to handle this loss and bring value to you? Because right away we might look at it and there's an exclusion that says we don't pay for this.
Right.
So so understanding the policy is probably the biggest thing in the language in the policy.
Yeah, good information there. Let's talk about this as well. One thing that you're doing right now, which I think is very valuable, is offering free claim reviews. So how does that work?
Yeah, so let's say you do have a claim, Joel. You file a claim, you wanted to do it on your own. You didn't know about public adjusting, because most people don't know.
Yeah.
They file a claim, 2 months later, something's happening, right? Hey, we got denied. It's been delayed. It's been 2 months. I haven't even got a check yet. They haven't given me an estimate. They keep interviewing everyone. I mean, there's so many red flags, right? You go on our website, under the free claim review, you can attach a policy, explain the loss, what happened. It will literally ask you simple questions. You just answer yes or no. Comes to our email, then we review everything, and then we review the claim for the insured, get back with the insured, and see if we can bring any value. But that's if you're going down, if people are finding us about us later, right? For all our clients now that have been clients with us, again, all the investors that we've grown with in different states, they call us as soon as something happens. So most clients will call us, hey, we had a water break. Can you take a look at it? No, we'll go and we'll say, hey, this is, great that you're covered for this, but your deductible is $5. Remember, we talked about this when you insured that, this is actually a small loss. It doesn't make sense for you to
Not
file.
worth it. Yeah.
It's not worth it. Don't file, right? So we again, if our clients are going to file a claim, whether it's fire, water, storm, we want to make sure that they're going to be in the best scenario like this. It's worth for them to actually file, and then they can actually get something from this. Just filing claims and hoping they stick, like most storm chasers that knock on windows, say, hey, we'll get you a free roof and all that.
Yeah.
They're just hoping something sticks.
Okay. All right. So what's the pivotal point that they reach out to you as soon as something happens? And
As soon as
they
something
go up to their insurance company, right?
100%, because we're the ones that want to talk to insurance. We're the ones that want to file the claim for it. We file the claim for our insurance. We handle it from day one, right? We control all the discussions. So there is no, well, Joe, you insured this building 2 years ago, and what happened here? And they start asking you questions, and you don't know, or you do know, but you start explaining the wrong stuff, and all of a sudden you get a denial letter 1 month later, right? When it goes through us, well, okay, we're your first line of defense. We'll take those questions and say, Joe, we got to answer these. So let's think about how we're going to answer. They got to be answered the right way.
Right.
We're going to tell the truth, but we're going to answer them the right way.
Yeah.
Because you say that you used the wrong term, that can mean if you call in the claim and say I had a flood, well, you're not covered for flood, right? But then you call us and say, and I ask what happened, Joe. You say, well, pipe broke in the ceiling. Well, that's a covered loss. That's not a flood.
Not a flood.
Oh, but water came in. Most people just use the term flood because water.
Yeah.
Understanding that we've had claims where they've been denied because the wrong term was used.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's valuable information. I appreciate you sharing that. It makes a whole lot of sense. So how does a company or an individual go about engaging your firm if they wanted to get with you guys?
Joe, so they can find us at allcityadjusting.com. If they Google All City Adjusting, they'll find videos and tons of articles on claims process and everything like that for your listeners. I'll leave anyone that listens my number. If any of your listeners want to call me directly or text me, have questions, it's 708-655-4186. That's my cell phone number. I'm reachable all the time. We love what we do, love helping people. So if anyone's got, even if it's to talk about policy or claims or anything, more than happy to do it.
Gotcha. How do you guys actually get paid? All right, in this particular case.
Yeah, good question. Before we set up, good question. It's so we're all contingent, right? Contingency. There's no retainers, no hourly fees.
Okay.
We start our base fee at 10% of what we recover, and then go up from there. It can go up to 20, 15, 20%, depending on the claim. If you called us and say, hey, we got 100,000, I still feel something's missing. We might take a look and say, Joe, we can maybe get another 50. It might be a higher fee. It might be 20%, but only in anything extra we get you.
Okay.
Right? Because now it's going to take much longer and it's not guaranteed. It's hard to get that. It's easy to get 150 right from the beginning than it is to get that 50 at the end.
Okay. So basically the time to go back in and renegotiate and open that claim back up.
There's a whole story. You've been dealing with them for 6 months. I don't know what you told them. I don't know what they told you. I don't know who's looked at the claim, who's touched the claim. So we don't know what we're getting into, right? We might get into, do all our inspections, present everything. They say, hey, no. We sent Joel this letter and he agreed with this. Oh, well, Joel forgot to tell us that it's just little stuff like that. So
yeah. So think
it's more of a higher risk.
Yeah, I got you. Sounds good. I wanted to talk a little bit also about some examples of work that you've done. I don't know if you have any offhand, but kind of wanted to tee that up. Let's take a quick break for our sponsor.
The Morning for Joel CRE podcast is sponsored by ImpactMask.com. That's M as in Mary, ImpactMask.com. The world's most breathable mask that has 99% efficacy, which is higher than an N95 mask, and it won't fog your glasses. Check out the science behind these incredible masks at ImpactMask.com.
Okay, fantastic. So want to welcome you all back to the Mornings with Joel CRE podcast. Again, as was mentioning, if you're just joining us or whatever the case might be, we have Andy Gurczak with us today. And he told me that my pronunciation is close to accurate, so we're going to leave it there.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't mess it.
Don't mess it up if it ain't broken, right?
Yep.
So we'll go with that. And as was mentioned, Andy is with All City Adjusting. Very interesting firm that handles adjustments or All City as it relates to claims on insurance. And so, Andy, just kind of picking up on our discussion, what are some examples that you're really proud of that you've been able to help a client out in a situation where they thought that it was, nothing that they can do?
Yeah, we just finished one for your Miss Jocelyn. She's in Calumet City here in Illinois. It was a 6 unit. She bought that building 2-3 years ago for I think $200,000. Got the tenants in. It was fully rented. The adjuster came out. They looked at it right away. They said, "Oh, this is gonna be. They sent their vendor in to start cleaning up, and told her, this is not gonna be that big of a loss. Maybe 100, 150." She started doing some research online. Her husband was like, no, they'll be okay. We'll be okay. She's like, no, I don't feel right. So she looked us up, called us. We met with her, and she's like, she persuaded her husband to go with us. That just got sold for $670,000.
Wow.
$670,000. She bought that for $200,000. Was told she's going to be around $150,000. They were going to clean everything up. They were ready to get maps out. There come the vendors and everything. So $670,000.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
She's super happy. I'll just leave it at that.
I believe you. That's night and day difference there. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so we finished a church for Brother Elijah. There's actually a lot of videos of him on our website.
Okay.
That one he was offered $800,000. That got wrapped up for about I think $3.2 million.
Okay.
So
I wanted to go back to one point that you've mentioned about the apartment complex, because of a lot of our listeners are apartment complex owners. In that particular case, I'm assuming you would tell the insurance company, don't touch anything until I get my team involved, which will be you. Is that pretty safe thing?
100%. Get your vendors out of there. You have to board up the building, right?
Right.
But in that case, I would say, Joel, you've been in the business for a long time.
Yeah.
I can most likely I can assume that you have contractors for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
right? So I can. So if you had a loss at a building, I could say, Joe, can you send your guys in to board up the windows? You make it happen, right?
Without a doubt.
We could create We can create that bill, and that bill is going to be much higher. You're going to, why send those vendors out? You can have your own guys do everything. So as soon as we get that, we tell the insurance company, hey, no one goes in that building. No, because the quicker they push their vendors in, all their third parties, the quicker they minimize the loss, and that's their goal. To pay as little as possible. You have to remember, right? And who controls? If they get in and they start cleaning up and demoing, well, now they've basically tied in their job, and it's hard to release them from that job now. You kind of got them involved. Now they're going to say, well, if you don't pay us for all this demo, and it gets very messy. So, the quicker, and a lot of their strategies is, oh, well, our vendor said he can do this job for $100,000. Yeah, of course he did. And then he's going to start demoing walls, and that bill's going to be $300,000.
Right.
Of course, they're going to say something.
Change order.
Exactly. But they're going to say 100 to any of the adjuster because they want the job.
Right.
That's how they keep the job, and that's how they persuade insureds. Like, no, our guy's going to do it for this much. That guy is just crazy with their numbers. No, he's not crazy. It's what you're owed.
Yeah. No, very valid point. Very valid point. So get them in there early, or get your guys in early before they do any work. I guess you could almost view it like a crime scene where you want to get in there and make sure nobody touches anything so that you
don't touch anything, Joe. We want to document everything from when the day it happens, right? As soon as possible, we want to document photos, videos. We're so particular on how we document everything because that's your bread and butter. That's how you support everything. The burden of proof is on the insured. So if you've hired us, well, that burden of proof is now on us. Like, we have to work for you to, prove everything. So again, all that documentation, if you clean up and put everything away, well, now we don't have, it's hard for us to prove that case.
Yeah, very valid point. So that makes sense. All right, fantastic. Any other examples that you want to talk about, or those are two good ones that you gave us?
That's a good one. We didn't want Big Investor too. They had a loss in Memphis, Tennessee. Nothing crazy, but he had his loss denied. We ended up looking into it. He was denied because they classified the plumbing clog under something else, right? We ended up hiring a third-party plumber, stating that this wasn't a backup. This actually a clog happened. So we got that whole claim overturned just because the language was worded differently, and then bank got close to about $100,000 loss.
Okay. So good, from 0 to 100,000 in that case.
From zero to 100. He was selling that building anyway, so he was super happy.
Yeah.
So he already bought in place. So it was just he was happy as well. So we can go down the list of the scenarios.
Okay. Oh no, that's really good. Really, really good. So well, let's do this. I think we've covered what we wanted to cover, and you certainly gave us a good reason to want to use your services at All City. I think it's a fantastic service, and I even think back to insurance claims that I've had over the years where you almost just want to give up. You're like, oh, they're not going to pay us nothing anyway, so let's just forget it. But you bring a lot of value to the table to help us to understand that we can actually get that money out of claims when there is a legitimate claim and bring value, and also understanding our policies so that we don't miss anything that's overlooked that needs to be in there. So certainly
and how were the claims, like we call it the claims game, but where the claim system has gone. In the short is we're handling a claim for one of an adjuster from a big insurance company. I'm not going to name names. Yeah. He was with them for 30 years. And we knew him personally, and we're handling a claim for him. He literally told me, Andy, I do not have the power. I'm tired. I do not want to fight with these guys. Yeah. I'm too old for this. And I'm like, you were with them for 30 years. You think they just come out and pay? Yeah. Heck no. Mm-hmm. He is just, number. And he was with them for 30 years.
Wow.
Doing all these types of losses. Yeah. And it's funny because that insurance company came out, gave the first, we had a meeting with them at the property. The adjuster agreed on everything, comes back 1/4 of what we agreed on, right? Mm-hmm. Sends us. My guy is just blowing up. I'm like, hey, these are your guys. This is the company you work for. What am I supposed to do? This is the process. This is how it works. It doesn't matter who you are. He even literally put his business card, because he just retired, in the claim file so they knew who he was.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. So even the people that work there don't catch a break. So
nope.
got to hire a company like yours to make sure you get what you really deserve. So,
And if not us, hire another good one. Hire another good reputable PA firm. It's worth every penny.
gotcha. Very, very good information. All right. Well, as we close out for today, is there anything else that you want our audience to know? I think we covered a lot of ground today for sure.
No, Joe, as long as your listeners understand that they're going up against billion-dollar industry and that the end goal is for them to pay as little as possible, that it doesn't hurt to call and get a second opinion and get help. As an investor, you have a team of, contractors, attorneys, accountants. Put a PA on that team, a good one. It'll be worth every penny.
Yeah. Very good point. Very, very good point. So, and again, what's your number and your website so that we can direct people there?
Yeah. So our website is allcityadjusting.com.
Mhm.
So they can call me directly at 708-655-4186.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, Andy, really appreciate it. This has been very insightful. I think it was a great podcast and a lot of good information to help people to understand how they can maximize their claims with these storms getting worse. I mean, every day you hear about something. It's either forest fires or it's floods or it's tornadoes or something. So,
And that's the stuff you hear about, Joe.
Yeah.
How about the everyday fires? I mean, there's hundreds of them every day.
yeah,
there's a lot
stuff you don't hear about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, very, very good information. So we thank you for coming on, Andy, and bringing this value to our client base. So thank you so much for that. And for all of you, you've been listening to the Mornings with Joel CRE podcast. Thanks again for listening. We look forward to having you on an upcoming episode. Thanks again. Have a great day.